Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting on December 16th. It is 7:01. We have a resolution to adopt the agenda.
Moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Harold Levine. Be it resolved that Council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards hereby adopts the agenda for the regular council meeting of December 16th, 2025 as presented.
All those in favor? Carried. And now I'd like to read our First Nations land acknowledgement. As we gather today, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of this committee and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. And please join me in a moment of silent reflection. And thank you. My mayor's address. As we celebrate the Christmas season, I want to extend my warmest wishes to everyone in our community. Christmas is a time of reflection, gratitude, and coming together with family, friends, and neighbors. It's also a time to remember that not everyone finds the season easy. A simple act of kindness, a phone call, a knock on the door, or a brief check-in can make a meaningful difference. I encourage everyone to take a moment to check on your neighbor, especially seniors, those living alone, or anyone who may be facing challenges this holiday season. Small gestures of care help strengthen the sense of community that makes our township such a special place to live. On behalf of council and staff, I wish you a safe, peaceful, and joyful Christmas and all the very best for the new year ahead. Since our last meeting on December 2nd, I have represented the township at the following functions. December 4th, the tree lighting and the library open house, which was an outstanding night for everyone that was involved. December 6th, went to the Friendship Club, participated in the bake sale. A lot of great little goodies for those. December 6th also was the Christmas market at the Lions Club. I've never seen so many people piled in there and so many vendors. It was great, great morning to watch. And then on the 10th of December was the county inaugural meeting. Jennifer Warden was elected as the new warden. And also I will be returning my position as vice chair of corporate services and also on the committee of Renfrew County Forestry and Wood Processing. On the 13th, the Christmas parade, I must say it was cold and there was snow, but it was a terrific event. And I want to give a shout out to the Lions Club for their outstanding efforts as always. And I really want to especially recognize Janet Johnson for coordinating the event. It was truly a really good day. Does anyone have any pecuniary financial interest to declare? Having seen none, we'll move on to our first delegation via Zoom. Mr. Peters. Hello, Tyler.
We can't hear you.
You want to come back to him? We'll do Donna now.
You can if you'd like.
Okay. We'll do that.
Yep.
We're going to move on from Tyler. We'll bring him back, but now I'd like to call on Donna Burns. Hello there.
Hello. You can hear me okay? Good to go? Okay, my name is Donna Burns. I'm with the Ontario Landowners. I'm the Vice President for Ontario Landowners and President for the Renfrew County chapter of the Ontario Landowners. So I sent a package to you today or yesterday. You're going to see some attachments at the back. I'll go through this presentation, and if there's time, I'll explain that to you. So since November 2024, this council has made it a policy to acknowledge this land as Algonquin territory. I ask you why and for what purpose. I suspect it is because you've been asked to do this to be in compliance with Truth and Reconciliation. The Truth and Reconciliation policy that is not legally binding, but where you have been asked to show an authentic and respectful relationship with local First Nations and Métis communities. As you know, the Algonquins have claimed this as unceded territory. And attached at the back of this presentation is the map we claim as unceded land. Are you aware that there exists a treaty for this land? This land was surrendered in 1819. The treaty for it is number 27, where it was surrendered as a provisional surrender on May 31st, 1819. And then 3 years later, it became a confirmed treaty number 27 1/4 on November 18th, 1822 by the Mississauga Indians. Why the Mississauga? Because the Algonquins and Iroquois had abandoned this area and relocated to the Lake of Two Mountains near Montreal as a result of conflict over their fur trade and disease, smallpox and measles, that they had acquired from the European settlers, which resulted with their population dying off significantly. 20 years later, on June 17th, 1839, the Algonquins signed Treaty Number 148 for Kettle Island. Now, these treaties are at the back of your package here. Treaties 27, 27 1/4, and 148. And if you look at the package, you'll see the treaty number, the page number, and the volume. There's 2 volumes where this information was retrieved from. Now, for Kettle Island, and written within this treaty, it states that because the Algonquins were so few in number and were under the paternal care of the priests, they had no actual land in their possession except for 260 acres of sterile soil provided to them from the seminary. It was recommended within this treaty that since they claimed they previously had land on each side of the Ottawa River, that they be compensated for the loss of those lands from which in former times they derived their subsistence, and further recommended that a tract of land should be set apart in the rear of the present range of townships on the Ottawa River, and that these tribes continue to receive such support, encouragement, and assistance as may supply the place of their former means of subsistence, and at the same time prepare and lead them to a state of independence of further aid. End of quote. That's out of Treaty 148. Approximately 34 years later, on September 22nd, 1873, the Algonquins signed Treaty Number 29, where they were granted 1,561 acres of land in South Algona Township, known as the Golden Lake Reserve. And at the very bottom of that, you'll see a link, and that takes you to this book of archives that you can find these treaties yourself. I'm sure you're aware of the Algonquin land claims wherein the Cowichan tribe filed a traditional land claim in Richmond, BC, which is currently inhabited by several private property owners and businesses who purchased their property under fee simple. The BC Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Cowichan tribe, leaving private property owners wondering if their investments is secure. This case is currently being considered for appeal, but meanwhile, the private property owners have just recently filed a class action lawsuit against the province because it used their Torrens land title system to fraudulently mislead property owners to believe their property investments were 100% their own. In their file claim, they also opened the door for other property owners in other parts of Canada who may also be subject to this threat of property loss from these Aboriginal land title claims, which included in this file claim is this paragraph. Quote, the proposed class may also consist of all persons or entities who took it to real property in another province or territory of Canada in reliance that the land system in place in that jurisdiction was sacrosanct, meaning too important or valuable to be interfered with. The BC court ruling cites that the traditional land by the Indigenous is superior to parliamentary laws. So your Land Titles Act is the legislation, and they're saying that these traditional lands are superior to that. And that is implied through the UNDRIP Act. Just this past October, the Algonquin community has filed a land title claim in Western Quebec for 10,000 acres. Also, the Chippewa Nation won a recent court case for a land title claim in Port Huron, Ontario, Sauble Beach, where 5 property owners and a couple of businesses have now lost their properties. This case is being, in this case, the appeal was denied. And this early in 2026, they're going to be coming down with some kind of a settlement for the property owners. I don't know how they're going to do that, but it'll be early 2026. If you're not aware of the UNDRIP Act, it received royal assent on June 21st, 2021, during COVID when everyone was distracted with the COVID lockdowns. UNDRIP is the United Nations Declaration for the Rights of Indigenous People. The Trudeau Liberal government introduced it in December 2020 with its first reading, again in 2021 for the second reading, May 2021 for the third reading, and then it got royal assent in June 2021, making it law. So for some background information, the United Nations introduced UNDRIP in 2007 at their General Assembly. 143 countries voted in favor of it, 11 abstained, and 4 voted against it. The 4 against it were Canada, United States, Australia, and New Zealand. This was during the Stephen Harper reign. There were 2 articles within it that they had concerns with. Article 32, where it states, land and resources establishing the need for free, informed, and prior consent of Indigenous peoples. Their concern was on the development of projects that there may be an Indigenous veto over any issues the Indigenous did not consent to. The other issue was Article 26 on land disputes, where it is written, quote, Indigenous people have the right to the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned, occupied, or otherwise used or acquired. And this is what we're seeing today with these land title claims against private property, fee simple ownership we are hearing about today. In 2009 and 10, Canada joined the US, Australia, and New Zealand and agreed to endorse the document. To endorse a document with the UN means that the country believes in the importance of the values set down, but will not sign it, nor will it be incorporated into their own national laws. Canada's official stance was that this was a non-legal binding document that would not reflect on Canadian or international law. The endorsement was a commitment to work in partnership with the Aboriginal people for a better Canada. When Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister in 2015, he changed that policy, removing Canada's objector status. During COVID lockdowns in 2021, the Trudeau government made UNDRIP an official legislative act. You should also know that only Canada has made this an official legislative act. The other 3 countries, the US, Australia, and New Zealand, still have it endorsed as a non-legal binding document that will not be incorporated into their national laws. Further, the Trudeau Liberal government attached a preamble with this new legislative act. As you know, a preamble means the purpose and intent of the act. When you read this preamble, you learn what this political party believes and how they intend to incorporate their preamble into how this act is to be enforced. One of the paragraphs read, quote, Whereas all doctrines, policies, and practices based on or advocating the superiority of peoples or individuals on the basis of national origin or racial, religious, ethnic, or cultural differences, including the doctrines of discovery and terra nullius, are racist, scientifically false, legally invalid, morally condemnable, and socially unjust. This statement is in disrepute to the British Crown. It brings meaning it's bringing in our administration of justice in disrepute. It also implies that those of us who are non-Indigenous Canadian-born people with British or European ancestry are racist. Our religious beliefs, our cultural differences, our governing policies and practices, they believe are scientifically false, legally invalid, immorally condemnable, and socially unjust. Another statement within this preamble is written, quote, whereas the government of Canada reject all forms of colonialism and is committed to advancing relations with Indigenous people that are based on good faith and on the principles of justice, democracy, equality, non-discrimination, good governance, and respect for human rights.
Excuse me, Donna, you've got 5 minutes, okay? Left in your time.
Really? That's gone by quickly. Colonial means the policy of acquiring political control over another country, occupying it with its settlers and exploiting it economically. I'm not going to get through all of this in 5 minutes, obviously. But what I'm going to point out to you is this statement, purpose and intent of this undrafted act is to ignore our parliamentary procedures. In the House of Commons, its laws ignore provincial legislature, its laws, and it also implies that municipal institutions, since they are under the authority of the province, have no standing. In other words, reject the laws created from these politically controlled parliamentary institutions, and for what? People ignore, should we reject the Charter of Rights and Freedoms and Canadian Bill of Rights, all people, that was granted for all people, regardless of race or color. Every country needs control in order for it to succeed. To reject colonialism is to reject a rule of law, an order that we have lived by for the past 158 years. The one thing in this undrafted act is Article 46, and that will, and I've explained, you have the copy and I'm running out of time here, but when you read it here, it states, the last part here, that nothing in this act is to be interpreted to dismember or impair, totally impart the territory, integrity, or political unity of sovereign and independent states. So this act needs to be repealed, and through this Article 56, it could be done. Again, there's the link for you to refer to the undrafted act yourself. With respect to the land acknowledgements, when you repeat it before every council meeting, you're feeding into this rejection of colonialism, and you're stating that the land acquired here is by non-Indigenous or legally invalid. It is discriminatory because you're ignoring all those non-Indigenous people who settle on these lands, who work hard to nurture and develop these lands, to provide food, develop these lands to create industry and provide employment and bring prosperity for all people, Indigenous included. By uttering this land acknowledgement, it implies that you believe this land does not belong to those of British or European descent, thereby showing your residents in this township that if their private property should become threatened to be taken from them through these Aboriginal land claims, you would not support them. The Indigenous state in some of the land claims that they don't want the private land, but yet the courts are still giving it to them anyway. It would seem the purpose behind this undrafted act is to divide the people and turn us against one another, and we don't want that. On behalf of all property owners in Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards, now that you are aware of this information I brought forward to you, I respectfully ask that you stop uttering the land acknowledgement on behalf of the Algonquin people. If you cannot acknowledge all the people for caring for this land, then please don't acknowledge any of the people. And just one more thing, with the I'm going to suggest to you, if you haven't seen this already, there's a very good documentary on YouTube called Making a Killing, and it explains about the Truth and Reconciliation and also refers to the UNDRIP Act and can probably put it in better context for you to understand than what I've done. So that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions?
No.
Sorry, I had to rush through it. I hope it was,
Council, does anyone have any questions? Harold?
you're all good? Perfect,
Thank you very much for your presentation. And are we ready to go, Tyler? Hello, Tyler.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and Council. Can you hear me okay? Yes? Great.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for the previous technical difficulties. This evening, I'm presenting to council kind of my final report with respect to the Blue Box transition process we've been working with staff on. I did have a family conflict this evening, so I would have preferred to be in person with council, but I appreciate your accommodation through Zoom tonight. Just briefly, we had provided a summary memorandum with respect to the status of Blue Box transition for the township. We are effectively winding up the pre-transition process. Within your package this evening are a couple of final agreement documents that will be reviewed and processed by council regarding a change order to the depot operations agreement with a much more fair and reasonable compensation level to council, to the township overall. And secondly is a funding agreement for promotion and education for the township's recycling calendar and sorting guide. So as council is aware, the process for extended producer responsibility commenced in 2023 and wraps up at the end of this month with full transition commencing on January 1st of 2026. The township originally had your pre-transition process start in July 1st of this year, and things have gone very well. Working with Miller Waste as the contractor with respect to curbside collection and servicing of your depots. With respect to next steps, we are working closely with staff, monitoring proposed changes to the program with respect to our businesses, so our industrial, commercial, and institutional enterprises across the township that do not fall or that are not eligible under the transition program. The township will be continuing to service them on your existing fee-for-service basis is the proposal. And we're waiting to hear about potential changes to the legislation that were introduced in a Bill of Rights proposal earlier in the year. And that's anticipated to have some light shed on it early in 2026 once transition carries forward. With the information, we have good news as well. There is a new Blue Box material list that has been published by Circular Materials. It was only launched on October the 1st of this year, unfortunately. So we've been working closely with staff to get your recycling sorting list up to speed with respect to that. But good news being that all materials across the province, all recyclables are going to be of the same list. So the same type of materials, the nature of materials will be consistent across the province, removing confusion and uncertainty with respect to what's recyclable and what is not. That information, again, will be published on the township's website, but good news being that it includes things like styrofoam packaging, film plastic, like bread bags and things of that nature, chip bags, anything that effectively is metal, plastic, or glass packaging falls under the eligible materials. So we've included that list with our summary memo to council. And it, as I said, we're working now with staff to update reference information on the township website as we head into January 1st. So that's a general summary, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to present and to work with staff. It's been really rewarding and beneficial to work through this challenging process over the past year. But we believe the township's in an excellent position moving forward into 2026. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Tyler. And as usual, great presentation. And I'm going to open it up to council now. Do you have any questions, anyone? I'll go to the left first, to the right. Councillor Keel.
Do you want to put your mic on?
So we're allowed to put styrofoam meat trays in the recycling now, Tyler?
Through you,
What
Mr.
about-
Mayor, the answer is yes.
And what about styrofoam packaging, the big chunks? Does that go into?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes. So any
Oh, it's-
styrofoam of any type is considered packaging of any color. So, typically it'd be anticipated that would be for meat trays, for example, that would be rinsed, not necessarily washed clean, but would be rinsed, but it is technically recyclable under the new program, as well as the film plastic that, plastic wrap that would cover that. That kind of thing is all technically recyclable as of January 1st.
Thank you. And it's Carl, it's not Mr. Mayor, Tyler.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Any other questions? That's good. Thank you very much. And enjoy your evening. You're
Thank
more than
you. All the
welcome to
best for the
stay.
holidays.
You're more than welcome to stay and listen to the rest.
I'll take a pass. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All the best to everyone for the holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to minutes of the previous meetings. Regular council meeting of December 2nd, 2025, open and closed sessions.
Moved by Bill Smith, second by Harold Levine. Motion to approve the minutes of the regular council meeting of December 2nd, 2025. Open and closed sessions, understanding closed minutes remain confidential.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor? Carried. And public meeting of December 2nd, 2025, open session.
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Maureen McMillan. Motion to approve the minutes of the public meeting of December 2nd, 2025, open session.
Questions? Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Meetings, any questions about meetings? We're good. So the January 6th meeting, for the people that are going to Roma, we'll be back in time. Any reports? None. Examining the accounts. Questions? Counselor Pekoski.
7800.
Angela Roach.
That was, she paid her taxes twice, so we had to reimburse her for her tax payment.
She can pay twice sometimes too.
And is any committee reports? Move. Well, let's go to correspondence. First one, Ministry of Natural Resources, Black Bear Harvest Management in Ontario. I believe we have a resolution.
So I went on to the website. It won't take a document as part of the reporting procedure. So what I've come up with, listening to council yesterday, or the last meeting, what I intend to put into the portal is that Council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards expresses their concerns regarding the proposed black bear population objective and harvest management guidelines in Ontario. Council recognizes that black bear numbers in the area are currently significant, and that certain restrictions in the proposed guidelines, including limitations on harvesting cubs and mother bears, may hinder effective population management. These measures could have unintended consequences for both public safety and ecosystem balance. Council respectfully urges the ministry to consider the perspectives of municipalities and the realties of local bear populations in finalizing any management policies. Thank you for attention to this matter. Sincerely, Council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. And the resolution I have is moved by Brian Pekoski, second by Carl Keel, whereas the Ministry of Natural Resources has released a proposal regarding black bear population objective and harvest management guidelines, and whereas Council has reviewed the proposal and provided feedback expressing concerns regarding the current bear population in Renfrew County and potential impacts of restrictions on harvesting cubs and mother bears. Now therefore be it resolved that Council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards directs staff to upload and submit the attached comment to the Ministry of Natural Resources proposal portal.
All those in favor? Carried. Our next one is from the municipality of Calvin, strengthening self-defense protections and addressing rising home invasions in Ontario. And I believe we have a resolution for this one also.
Moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Harold Levine, whereas the municipality of Calvin in its resolution dated November 26, 2025, has called for strengthening self-defense protections and addressing the rising incidents of home invasions. And whereas Council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards recognizes the importance of ensuring the safety and security of its residents. Now therefore be it resolved that Council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards supports the municipality of Calvin's resolution and urges relevant authorities to take action to enhance self-defense protections and implement measures to reduce home invasions. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Prime Minister of Canada, the Premier of Ontario, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada, the Attorney General of Ontario, the Solicitor General of Ontario, MPP Billy Deneau, and all Ontario municipalities.
All those in favor? Carried. Next one is Cheryl Gallant, herbicide glyphosate. Next one is Eorn, monthly update. Next one is from the MP for Vancouver East, Jenny Kwan, Bill C-233, No More Loopholes Act. F, County of Renfrew Manager of Legislative Services, Gwen Dombrowski, County of Renfrew 2026 Committee and Council Calendar. G, County of Renfrew, Renfrew County Project Update 2025 Wrap-Up. H, EOWC, December 2025 Newsletter. I, RCDHU, stay protected over the holiday season as flu activity rises. County of Renfrew, Jennifer Murphy, elected warden to lead county council for 2026. K, RLPOA, point of clarification. Is this one to be read out loud?
Request was there.
Okay.
Point of clarification. First, I would like to address an important clarification regarding what was presented to council at the December 9th, 2025 meeting. The Round Lake Property Owners Association is not and has never been a political advocacy group. The information we presented was based entirely on feedback, poll results from our members, property owners, and taxpayers in this community who reviewed information who reviewed information made available through Killu, Hagerty, and Richards communications and informed their own considered opinions. We brought this community feedback to council through the exact same process we have consistently used for other local matters, including invasive species concerns and the public boat launch issues. We are simply fulfilling our fundamental mandate, giving Round Lake residents a voice on matters that affect them. This is community representation, not political advocacy. I respectfully request that this letter be read aloud at the council meeting scheduled for December 16th, 2025. As council moves forward with bylaws related to the ward system and council size, I believe our community would greatly benefit from understanding the reasoning behind two key decisions before their vote takes place. The ward system decision, whether to retain the current ward structure or implement changes. The council size decision, the rationale for maintaining 6 councillor positions rather than reducing to 4, as some comparable townships have done. I understand that the Ontario Municipal Act 2001 does not explicitly require council to explain the reasoning behind every decision. However, the act does emphasize on the fundamental importance of transparency and accountability in municipal decision-making, principles that support openness about how and why decisions are reached. Sharing council's perspective would be entirely consistent with these guiding principles and would serve the public's interest in several meaningful ways. These topics have prompted thoughtful and constructive discussions throughout Killu, Hagerty, and Richards. I've had the opportunity to speak with many residents and indeed some councillors about these matters. What is abundantly clear is that there is genuine, widespread interest in understanding the considerations guiding council's approach. Residents are not simply asking what council will decide, they want to understand why. They want to know what factors were weighed, what alternatives were considered, and what principles guided the decision-making process. Providing this context in advance of the vote would, I believe, offer several important benefits. Help residents grasp the full picture and appreciate the complexity of the factors council has carefully considered. Reinforce transparency and accountability in our local governance, demonstrating that council values keeping residents informed. Address community questions questions in a constructive manner before they become sources of confusion or concern. Encourage informed discussion and show residents that their desire to understand local decisions is respected. Provide clarity that helps the community move forward together constructively, regardless of the final outcome. Would council consider providing a clear explanation of the reasoning behind these decisions at the December 16th meeting prior to voting on the bylaw? Hearing directly from council would be deeply valuable to the many residents who care about these decisions and their long-term impact on how our community is governed. This is not about advocating for any particular outcome. It's about ensuring that when council makes these important decisions, the community understands the thoughtful deliberation that went into them. Thank you for considering this request and for your continued dedication to serving our community with integrity. I'm confident that open dialogue and transparent communication will benefit us all, council and residents alike. Governance works best when the governed understand not just the decision being made, but the principled reasoning behind them. I trust the council shares this belief. I look forward to your response and continued constructive engagement between the Round Lake Property Owners Association and council on matters affecting our community. With appreciation and respect, Scott Gardner, President.
Questions, comments?
One of the requests. Thanks, Maureen. One of the requests was that council or councillors, I read it as councillors, give their reason for how they're voting. Are we going to have that opportunity at some point during this meeting? I think that's the request from Mr. Garden.
We could probably do that, yes. We could make that accommodation.
Perhaps after the bylaws are tabled.
Yeah.
In discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. L, Enterprise Renfrew County. Eorn newsletter. A thank you card from the Brown and Lehman families.
I'd just like to thank, council staff and members of the public for all the texts and phone calls, handshakes for the passing of my brother.
Thanks, Ted. Moving on to bylaws. Bylaw 49. Being a bylaw to enter into an agreement with Circular Materials on eligible community recycling calendars.
Moved by Harold Levine, seconded by Maureen McMillan, that bylaw number 49, 2025, being a bylaw to authorize an agreement between Circular Materials Ontario and the Corporation of the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards for eligible community recycling calendars be given its first, second, and third reading and finally passed the 16th day of December 2025.
Questions? Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 50, 2025, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 30-2024, authorizing an agreement between Circular Materials Ontario and the Corporation of the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards.
That bylaw number, moved by Harold Levine, second by Ted Brown. That bylaw number 50, 2025, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an amending agreement between the Corporation of the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards and Circular Materials Ontario be given its first, second, and third reading and finally pass this 16th day of December 2025.
Questions, concerns? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, bylaw 51. At this time, I am bringing forward two bylaws under my authority as head of council pursuant to part 6.1 of the Municipal Act 2001, specifically section 284-10. Section 284.10, number 1, provides that the head of council may, despite any procedural bylaw passed under section 238 or any other bylaw of the municipality, require council to consider a matter or to vote on a bylaw if, in the opinion of the head of council, doing so could potentially advance a prescribed provincial priority. This authority is statutory. It overrides procedural barriers that would otherwise prevent council from considering or voting on a matter brought forward under part 6.1 of the Act. These are very important bylaws, so I thought I went the extra mile on this. In accordance with section 284.10.2 of the Municipal Act, I have provided written reasons setting out my opinion that each of these bylaws could potentially advance prescribed provincial priorities, including housing supply and infrastructure planning and delivery. Those written reasons form part of the official record, which has been passed out to council this week. I am now introducing the proposed bylaws and my written reasons, which form part of the agenda package in the official record. Each bylaw will follow the same statutory process: introduction by title and purpose, confirmation that is being brought forward under section 284.10, reading of the bylaw, and a requirement that council proceed directly to a recorded vote under section 284.11.1. For clarity, under section 284.11.1, a bylaw brought forward by the mayor under section 284.10 passes if at least 1/3 of all members of council vote in favor. Section 284.11.1 applies automatically and governs both the manner and threshold of the vote. I will now introduce bylaw number 51-2025. This is a bylaw to reduce the composition of council from 6 councillors to 4 councillors, with 1 mayor and 4 councillors, effective for the 2026 regular municipal election. This bylaw is before council for consideration and vote pursuant to section 284.10 of the Municipal Act 2001. The purpose of bylaw 51-2025 is to improve decision-making efficiency, reduce governance gridlock, streamline council operations, and better align council structure with the township's size, capacity, and infrastructure responsibilities. In my opinion, these outcomes could potentially advance provincial priorities by enabling more timely decisions related to housing approvals, servicing, and capital planning. Tammy, would you like to read the bylaw?
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Bill Smith, that bylaw number 51-2025 being a bylaw to establish the composition of council for the Township of Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards, effective for the 2026 municipal election, be given its first, second, and third reading, and finally passed this 16th day of December 2025.
Okay. Questions?
Not a question, but a comment. Mr. Gardner asked in his submission from Round Lake property owners for some information about why I'm voting the way I'm voting or why council is voting the way they are. So I'm just going to speak for me. I've been in this chamber and speaking about this issue many times, and you all know that personally I support this. I support the reduction of council size. I think that it's going to save some money, not as much as some people think, for various reasons. The ward size, I've said that I represent everyone, and most of the people around the table have said the same thing. So I consider both of these bylaws to go together. One can't really pass without the other, in my opinion. So I'll be voting the same way on both of them. I've had a lot of conversations lately. I've had conversations throughout the past 3 years, but I've had a lot of conversations lately about what people think I should do. It's interesting when you get in this position, there's no shortage of people telling you what you should do. The vast majority of the comments that I've received in the past month are telling me that more people make better decisions. That's number one. And number two, and this is the bigger fear that's been brought to my attention, is that we need to protect the municipality against what might happen with a reduced council if we have a rogue mayor who doesn't, it may be in the future, who doesn't listen to lawyers, who doesn't listen to the ministry, who doesn't listen to other professionals, accountants, whatever. So with the strong mayor powers in place, which we believe that they're going to stay in place, I believe they're going to stay in place. The ministry has been really cagey about whether or not they'd be removed if we drop down council size. They will not say that will. So I assume that their response means that we'll still have strong mayor powers. So a 1/3 majority, that's what a strong mayor needs to pass a bylaw. A 1/3 majority means one councillor plus the mayor can pass any bylaw they want. And pretty much any bylaw, as we see tonight, any bylaw could be construed to or could be suggested that it would advance a provincial priority. We're seeing it here, reducing the number of council. And I don't disagree with what Dave's saying. I'm just saying this is what it is. What he's suggesting is that by reducing council, we'll make more efficient decisions and therefore will advance provincial priorities of building 1.5 million homes and increasing the infrastructure that's going to support that. So I'm going to be voting against the bylaws because of that. Because I think I agree with what people are saying out there, that I think that's a danger to the municipality, protecting us against potential future mayors. That's number one. And I continue to say what I've said many times in this chamber, that I think everyone in the municipality should have the opportunity to weigh in on this. So I'm going to continue to support that direction, not these current bylaws.
So, Tammy, can we proceed? Can we proceed with the vote?
That's one. The rest of us have.
Well, I thought we were going to have our vote and just then explain why we're voting that way.
No.
You want to all talk first and then make a vote?
So I should be able to explain why we're voting the way we are. So I've been very vocal about how I feel about strong mayor powers and about how I feel about democracy and the importance of protecting it. I will say that our mayor had no help, no assistance. I don't believe you had a lawyer help you write these, did you? No, did you have staff help you write them? I'm just asking. I think
We're talking about council composition now, not,
no, I'm
Stay-
asking you questions though.
stay on-
You
stay on-
you have given us bylaws. I think
stay on-
this does have to do with bylaws. Who
stay-
helped you write these?
stay on point.
So nobody helped him write these. So how can we support this? We don't know if they're lawful. The strong mayor, the rules and regulations are there's so many gray areas. And it's like Bill said, there's a lot of could potentially. Do you really think the ward system and council composition is going to have anything to do with building homes? Are we even in a position to build homes faster in Killu, Haggerty, and Richards? Do we have developments going up? Do we have mega infrastructure going in? So you know where I stand on this issue, and you also know where I stand on strong mayor powers. I've been very vocal about both, and I cannot support these tonight based on that. And that's where I stand. There's a lot more I would love to say, but we'll keep it for another.
Harold?
Well, I'm totally against, to begin with, strong mayor powers.
No, hang on, Harold. You're talking about council composition, not strong mayor powers.
No, this is coming
Stay
under
on.
strong mayor powers.
No, the conversation is council composition.
I can tell the truth. The truth is I'm against it.
Okay, thank you. Brian? Carl?
No comment.
Ted? Tammy? Could you call the recorded vote, please?
So recorded vote, yes, you're asking that the bylaw be carried, and no, you are not supporting it, so not carried. Mayor Mayville,
I would like the bylaw carried.
so yes. Councillor Brown,
No.
Councillor Keel, Councillor Levine,
No.
Councillor McMillan,
No.
Councillor Pekoski,
No.
Councillor Smith.
No.
Okay. The recorded vote is noted for the public record. I will now introduce bylaw number 52-2025. This is a bylaw to eliminate the ward system and elect all members of council at large, effective for the 2026 regular municipal election. This bylaw is before council for consideration and vote pursuant to section 284-10 of the Municipal Act 2001. Purpose of bylaw 52-2025 is to promote township-wide decision-making, reduce fragmentation caused by ward-based voting, improve coordination on infrastructure and servicing priorities, and ensure council decisions reflect the interests of the municipality as a whole. In my opinion, an at-large system could potentially advance provincial priorities by supporting cohesive planning for housing growth and infrastructure investment. And Tammy, would you read the bylaw, please?
Moved by Ted Brown, second by Bill Smith, that bylaw number 52-2025 being a bylaw to eliminate the ward system and establish an at-large system of election for members of council for the township of Killu, Haggerty, and Richards be given its first, second, and third reading and finally passed this 16th day of December 2025.
Okay, and we'll do the same process. Does anyone have any comments? Yep. Okay, recorded vote, please,
Mayville,
to abolish the system.
yes.
Yes.
Councillor Brown,
No.
Councillor Keel, Councillor Levine,
No.
Councillor McMillan,
No.
Councillor Pekoski,
No.
Councillor Smith.
Okay. So for clarity and for the record, both bylaws were brought forward lawfully under Part 6.1 of the Municipal Act 2001. Council was required to consider and vote on them, and recorded votes were taken in accordance with the statute. The statutory process has been fulfilled. We will now proceed with the remainder of the agenda. Unfinished business. Tammy, municipal report. Questions on the ballot and timeline?
As under the direction of council, I was asked to forward, sort of as a next steps. As it relates to putting questions on the ballot for the next municipal election. So I have provided council with that, and I've provided with a project timeline. So phase 1 includes public engagement. So this is pre-bylaw. So it's suggesting that council hold a public meeting on the proposed ballot questions to allow for the public to provide feedback and any questions or anything you have with regards to the questions. And so a public meeting should be held anywhere between January 5th and the 18th of in the new year. And then phase 2 includes drafting the ballot questions for and putting them on the bylaw for consideration, and incorporate all that information and have that bylaw being passed by at the January 20th meeting. And it goes on to say after that, after the bylaw, the time period where public needs to be notified and the minister needs to be notified of the passing of the bylaw. And then there's an appeal period of 20 days from the minister and eligible parties. And then it goes on, I guess, phase 4, and then it goes into the election. So designing the ballot layout. So initially, it's the fact that council should be scheduling a public meeting to move forward with proposing the bylaw. To add the question, sorry.
Any questions?
Well, I have a quick comment just about the cost in here. There's a section about cost. So can we speak to that a little bit? So residents are aware.
So costs are expected to be modest and can be absorbed within the 2026 election budget. Expenses relate to ballot printing, programming, including an estimated cost of $2,500 plus HST to place the questions on the ballot. Public notices, voter education materials, training, compensation for elected officials. So the cost of the 2022 municipal election was $22,998, which included wages, seminars, workshop materials and supplies, and the election service contract, which accounted for $17,661 of the total cost. So, I mean, I'm assuming that the cost has gone up for 2026. However, to place those 2 questions on the ballot, it would cost an additional $2,500 plus HST to place them on.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Bill?
Not a question, but the report calls on us to schedule a meeting during the first couple of weeks of January. So I think that I think we need to pick a date or pick a time for a meeting.
Yep.
How long would you expect the meeting to be, Tammy? An hour?
Totally depends on how much public engagement we have.
Okay.
Can we do it in conjunction with, or can we do it in conjunction with, or alongside our committee of the whole meeting on the 13th? Oh, okay. Then we're looking for a new date.
I was thinking maybe after we come back from Roma.
That's the 20th.
We have a council meeting on the 20th.
This has to be between January 5th and 18th.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yes. So maybe, what about January the 8th?
I can do that.
That work?
Is that enough notification?
Yes.
Everyone?
When will you be back?
How about the 15th? 15th?
I could do the 15th.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, Carl?
Yep.
Okay, 15th.
What time?
Can we start at 6:30?
Works for
Right.
me.
Okay, 7 o'clock.
And do we want to have it in a larger space than council chambers? Is it kind of tight space if it's a proper public meeting? Maybe we should have it at the. I'm not sure what else is available, but
North Street or Lions Hall.
I think that would be the only possible. The Lions Hall.
so can we have staff look into the Lions Hall? And if not, then possibly would North Street be bigger than this, you think?
Let's investigate that
Okay.
offline and
Okay.
put it in the notice.
And this is one thing that's important to note is that this meeting, while we have to have a public meeting now, we would also like to have a public meeting, another meeting, I think later in the year to provide this information to all of the seasonal people who aren't here because they're very important in all of this as well.
Okay, next one is MMAH, answers to questions asked at the November 24th meeting.
So at the last committee of the whole, I had this on the agenda. But council didn't get to that part, so I'm just providing it again for council. So it's just the answers to the questions that were asked from MMAH at their November 24th training meeting.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay. New business, Solicitor General.
So the OPP has provided the township with their estimated policing costs for 2026, covering the period from January 1st to December 31st of 2026. So the township has the 1,787 properties that are billed for policing services. This includes 1,710 residential properties and 77 commercial or industrial properties. The base cost for the OPP services in 2026 is estimated at $362,846, which works out to about $203 per property. Other expected costs include calls for service at $199,103, overtime at $26,742, prisoner transportation at $3,717, and accommodation and cleaning services at $11,294. Together, these costs bring the total estimated OPP cost for 2026 to $603,701, or about $338 per property. At year-end adjustment from 2024 of $49,501 has been added, which increases the calculated total for 2026 to $653,202. However, provincial rules limit how much OPP costs can increase each year. The township's 2025 OPP bill was $499,384, and the increase for 2026 is capped at 11%. This means the township will not pay more than $554,316 in 2026. Because of this cap, the township will pay $98,886 less than the calculated amount. So the total OPP cost to the township will actually pay in 2026 is $554,316. This equals a monthly payment of $46,193. And although the actual cost of the OPP services in 2026 is higher, the provincial cap limits the increase, reducing the amount the township must pay.
Just so everyone understands, because of all the pressures last year that all the different groups went at the Solicitor General, they implemented the 11% cap, which if we didn't have that cap, we would have paid 19.8%, as Tammy said, which would have been 98,000. Or yeah, 98,000. So because of that 11%, our payment is a lot less. When we had discussed this last year, we had talked about potentially putting this onto our tax bill so that all the taxpayers get to see the actual cost. And we sort of left it at Charlene would look into this, how Mad Valley had done theirs and what the reception was from the taxpayer. I think we should revisit this, and I think we should strongly think about putting this onto our tax bill. Of course, we'll listen to Charlene, what she has to offer to us, but I think taxpayers need to understand that this isn't going to the township coffers. This is what we're paying out per year for policing cost. So anyways, so if we could maybe at one of our upcoming meetings, Tammy, have Charlene tell us what she found out in regards to that with Mad Valley, so council could hear and make a decision on that. Yes, Councillor Keel.
If we're doing that, we've got the school boards, we've got the county. And how do we stop like what we're paying out to the county, school boards and everything else?
The feeling I have is that this is increasing so much that it's reaching those tiers of amounts of money. And, you know, $554,000 is a lot of money. So I think it's relevant to show that on the tax bill. Anyways, we can continue that discussion when we bring it to a committee meeting. Any other comments?
Don't smile. I'd just like to, I think we should send a thank you note to Ottawa River Power for putting up our lights for us at Christmas. Well, I'm seriously,
No,
it would have cost us a pile of money if they didn't come and do it for free. They're here 2 days.
we can do that. That's under new business. Okay. Is there any other conversation as far as OPP costs?
If
Okay. And now we're going to the committee of the whole.
Moved by Maureen McMillan, second by Harold Levine, motion to move into committee of the whole, be it resolved that council move into a closed meeting pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons: personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and labor relations or employee negotiations. So addressing an employee letter, hiring of employees, and wages.
All those in favor? Carried.